Welcome. You're listening to the Yoga for Balance podcast. Welcome back. It's been a while. I haven't recorded a podcast in a little bit due to a few different reasons. First, I was living in the flyover zone in San Diego, which if you know San Diego and Ocean Beach, you know you can hear the planes. And then I had a baby. My husband Daniel and I had a baby boy, Aja Alexander Pugh, born March 17th. He just turned 6 months old, and you may actually hear him in the background of this podcast recording. I'm here in my home with Danna. Welcome, Danna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. The baby is such a plus. I'm so happy to be here.
So if you hear us giggling or you hear him giggling, that is where the noises are coming from. And we are going to have this conversation with Aja learning to crawl in the background. And for today's episode, I'm going to have Danna guide us through, before we dive into the conversation, a little bit of breath work.
Hi, my name is Danna Yunis, and to start this, I always ask people to have their feet on the ground if you're in a seat. Just make sure both feet are flat on the ground and extend your spine nice and long. Relax your shoulders, but pull them back just a little bit. And start to drop into your body. We're just going to do a few box breaths together so that you can be present fully while listening to this podcast. Take a deep inhale through your nose to the count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Open mouth. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. And hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Inhale deeply through your nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Slow open mouth. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Inhale deeply. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Open mouth. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Come back to your regular breath. Try to always inhale through your nose more than through your mouth so you can get that oxygen flow in your body. Through that, you feel happier, more energized. And now let's get to some talking.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So Danna, I'd love you to take us a step back and describe what your experience of yoga has been.
So this is going to sound, it sounds like a joke really when I tell people, but I never chose to teach yoga. I never liked it. I had tried it a couple of times in my early 20s. It was too slow. I was frustrated by the needing to breathe in and out through my nose. So I just felt it was an end. They were saying all the words in Sanskrit, all the poses, which made it very difficult for me. It's like a new language. You need to know what they're saying in order to move with everyone else in the room. So I thought that I just didn't like yoga. And then I got a knee injury. I tore my ACL. And my manager at the time took me to a hot yoga class. And I wasn't able to extend my leg fully for about a year. I was kind of limping a little bit on the left side. And when I went into the hot yoga class, I was able to extend my leg after only 2 yoga sessions. So for me, I felt like yoga was a miracle. And I loved holding poses for a long time because hot yoga is more holding the pose instead of constant movement when you don't know where everyone's going. I love the challenge of the heat. And yeah, I just really loved it. But I still didn't want to practice yoga regularly. I just thought it was nice. And if I find hot yoga, I would. If I didn't, I wouldn't. until I met a wonderful lady named Sarah, and she told me that I was a yoga instructor. She told me I was going to be a yoga teacher, and she offered me my first teacher training. In return, I would teach in her studio in Jordan. So my first training was in Ashtanga yoga, which is also very hardcore, I would say, in comparison to the other styles of yoga. And after that experience in the teacher training, it transformed my life. Like, it truly changed the way I felt food in my body, changed the way I slept, changed my consumption of different things. Like, wine tasted different, felt different in the body. You become so in tune with your body that you are able to know after eating something or drinking something or your pattern of sleep, whether it's good for you or not. So it really makes you present and aware of things that are happening in your body. Before that, I felt like I was a Taekwondo black belt. So I was in the body, but more, I would say, I needed not to be too much in the body, not too sensitive, so that when I receive a kick or a punch, I don't feel it too much. So it was almost like you're in your body, but you're paying more attention to your opponent because you want to move away when they kick you. You want to be able to predict their next move. So it's a very, very, very different way of being in your body and being aware. So yoga was my gift. It was the world giving me a gift that I didn't realize would be my greatest tool for healing myself from a lot of pain and understanding where I was storing it. And it just, it came at the perfect time in my life. So I'm very, very grateful to be on this path. But my yoga path did not start with me seeking it at all. It came to me, which is amazing. I mean, I feel very grateful for that.
And since then, you've done other trainings as well. So I'd love for you to describe kind of what led you to choosing the other trainings.
Well, I moved back here in 2008, back to San Diego. I was born in San Diego, but I lived in different places around the world. And in 2018, I moved back to San Diego to care for my father. And he was very, very sick. And the only time I would be away from him is to practice yoga, until even that was too long of a time to be away from him. And then he passed away that same year, about 4 months after I moved back. And I knew that I needed something to almost like force me to move my body regularly without me maybe feeling lazy or too sad or too tired to do it on that day. So I started my second teacher training, my 200-hour in Vinyasa yoga, in 2018, about 3 weeks after he passed away. I was in my teacher training, and I knew that it would save my life. When you practice yoga regularly, you understand that it's saving you. It's making you more aware of things, of yourself. It makes you softer with yourself. There's a lot. I mean, it serves different people in different ways, so I don't want to say that this is what everyone would experience, but I know that it gifts every person whatever it is that they need. And for me, I needed to move the trauma out of my body. I didn't want to sit in the pain or let it sit in me for too long, because I didn't want it to turn into illness. And I know that that's how illness forms in the body, is when we don't allow it to move out of us. So the fluidity of yoga and the movement and the breathing allows you to release a lot of that sadness or a lot of old trauma, and understand. You can even feel it sometimes when you're in half pigeon. A thought comes in your mind, or even without the thought, you just need to release. You need to cry, or maybe in your shavasana. Different poses will trigger different things, and that's because the movement that we're doing in the body is targeting a certain area where we store a certain emotion. Like we store anger in the stomach, and we store trauma in the hip, and we store a lot of things in our gut area, in our large intestines. And so when we twist and we squeeze those areas, you're releasing some of those traumas. And it's hard. It sounds a little fluff when you say you store emotions in the body, but your body is full of energy, and emotions are just energy in motion. So that energy can be static and that energy can be fluid. When you feel a tremendous amount of pain or something hurts you and you don't move it out of your body, it will sit in you. Like, it is part of my responsibility to take care of this vessel of mine and take care of, my heart and my mental stability and health, to continuously seek to remove the static energy from inside me. So that's when I did my 200-hour teacher training. Very long answer to that one question. And then after that, I did a 300-hour during COVID, when everyone was depressed and sad and seeing it like the end of the world. I saw it as an opportunity, since I was home regularly, to take on more knowledge. And I really wanted to give more to my students, and I felt like the 200-hour didn't give me enough. So the 300-hour definitely got me to go in much deeper in my practice and understanding of the anatomy of the body, the energetic body, different diets like Ayurveda. It just took me to a whole other level, and I love that I chose to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful use for that time. We had just started a yoga teacher training that I was co-facilitating through Bird Rock Yoga, where I used to teach here in San Diego, that unfortunately did need to close due to the pandemic. But we had started the training 2 weeks before the pandemic started, and I think everyone was under the same, everyone decided they wanted to move forward. I don't think it was ideal that we couldn't meet in person, but at the same time, it was one of those things, like you said, what else are we going to do? We have all of the time. This is something that, could be positive to focus on. And that's what the participants felt themselves, was that they wanted to focus on something positive and have their awareness on, a focus point during that time. So I think it was actually a really great opportunity to, use our time wisely during an otherwise unprecedented and odd time to be in. So I'd love to dive into Yoga Church. So Yoga Church is the community, the space, the business that you have created around yoga. And I'd love for you to tell us a little more about what inspired you to start Yoga Church, and how you've created it and why you've created this type of community.
So I started Yoga Church soon after they began to remove some restrictions on people meeting in a space, when there was still you have to keep a 6-foot distance, but you can come back to a yoga space. So it was during the pandemic that I started Yoga Church. And I started it because I wanted to create a space where teachers get paid fairly and where students could get cheaper yoga, because I don't believe that yoga should be overly priced or only for a certain caliber of people who can afford expensive things. Yoga really should be free for everyone, which I do provide also. I do provide free yoga for those who, like single moms who can't pay, or people who aren't making enough money. And I could not offer those things to feel like I'm truly serving my community unless I started my own thing. And it was during our teacher training, our 300-hour teacher training, that we were asked to create our Dharma project, which is how do you bring your yoga practice to serve the community? Like, how are you going to move forward with it? And my idea was to create a space where teachers get 70%, 50 to 70% of whatever they make during that class. They take it home. instead of just giving them the $25 or $35 that teachers were getting paid at the time. And also have yoga as cheap as $11 a class for students, which is unheard of in San Diego because it's a very expensive city. For those who don't know, we are in California and in one of the most expensive cities in California. And so yoga is very healing. It healed me, and I wanted others to be able to have the same experience that I did, and I wanted them to be able to heal themselves. And it's usually people who aren't making a lot of money that suffer more. Like they are not able to buy, the organic, more pricey food. They don't have as much time to cook at home because they work longer hours. It's just so much more difficult when you have less money to give yourself all the things that you maybe wish you had. And so I felt like it was my responsibility to provide that to the community. Soon after Yoga Church, like once everything opened up and everything went back to normal, quote unquote, the rent price of the space that I was renting doubled. And so I decided to shut down the physical space and continue to teach yoga outdoors for now and host different events because I love creating events. I love people coming together. Community is like the number one focus and pillar of Yoga Church. So it's a very spiritual practice. The way that I guide through yoga is very spiritual. It's not just asanas. I don't disregard the other 7 limbs of yoga and focus on just asanas, which is the third limb of yoga. I don't think it is my choice to even do something like that because it's not my culture. I feel I need to respect the fact that yoga was brought. It's a spiritual practice. It's not a physical practice, and that it needs to continue to be taught that way in order to honor and respect the ancestors that brought us this beautiful practice to heal us. I didn't appreciate that a lot of studios were removing the rest of what yoga was and just focusing on the physical aspect of it. And that's another reason I really wanted to create a space where if you're just moving, it's called movement and it's not yoga. If you're hopping on top of one another, it's called gymnastics and not acro yoga. And I know this might feel, calling it gymnastics still keeps it fun, but it's not yoga. Yoga is to connect with yourself. There is no such thing as acro. There are a lot of things where, people are bringing goats into the picture and dogs and cats and all these different things. And we're losing the essence of yoga. So I wanted to continue my business even without a physical space, renting out different spaces for the events, just to continue to honor and bring back the essence of what yoga truly is, at least from my understanding. And I studied the history of it, even in my, outside of my teacher training. Like I did a lot of research. I used to work as a news producer, so I love researching different, like anything I'm interested in, I like to know the history of it. Mm-hmm. So I understand well the history of yoga, and I understand that many of the poses are actually gymnastics poses. Mm-hmm. They're not even, the first poses of yoga are just 15 poses, and they're not everything we know in our yoga practice today. But still, the people who added the poses that we know are from the culture who created yoga. They have the right to add to it, change it, have it evolve with them and their growth as a culture. But I don't believe that a different culture can just hop in, call it yoga, and do what they want with it. I don't feel that that's respectful. So I really, really care about respecting yoga and honoring the practice in that way and honoring the people that brought us yoga.
Do you have any advice for anyone listening who might be considering opening up their own studio or space or starting a yoga business?
So when I started Yoga Church, I started it with the intention to provide cheap yoga and pay teachers well. I'm not a business-minded person. I'm not a fan of capitalism or the way that studios want to make a grand amount of money. I wasn't thinking of it as like my main source of income. I wanted it to support me, but I wasn't looking to make millions off of it. Every other yoga studio owner approached opening a yoga studio because they wanted to own their own business. I did not feel like I wanted to own my own business. I just wanted to create something different, and I hadn't and was not and still haven't really seen that kind of space around me. It's either super spiritual where it's just a little too much, or it is disrespectful to the spirituality, like saying Om instead of yes, disrespecting these sacred words or sacred sounds, or it's simply just the physical practice, and everybody just focusing more on inversions rather than how they truly feel and being present in that hour. So there are a lot of different things. I felt like I needed a space where yoga was taught in a balanced way, balanced between the physical and the spiritual, because you need, you're going there for both. So if you love business, the idea of owning your own business, if you're okay with, for me, I made money every month. I never had to pay out of pocket, but every single business owner told me that was almost miraculous, that everyone loses money in the first year or just breaks even. It takes a few years to build a following, a loyal following. And so if you love the idea of creating, or maybe partner up with someone who is more business focused, and it's like running a marathon. You have to be prepared. You have to have your water. You have to have your cheer leaders along the way. You have to have family, like the support, the emotional support. You have to know where your destination is going to be. Envision it at least. And if you need to partner up with someone to be able to have enough stamina for the entire run or path, then definitely do that. Don't push away these kind of opportunities. But you need to love business to own a business. And if you only want to think of it as a business idea without the appreciation of yoga, then you're also not going to provide to the people what they need. You're just going to be another yoga studio, and yoga studios, at least in our city, are as many as there are as many yoga studios as there are Starbucks coffee shops. So there's a yoga studio around every corner, and to create something different, I would say you need to be thinking about the people who come to serve your students are also people. But you need to think also about your students. So you need to think about the people that you're bringing into this sacred space that you're creating. And you need to be business savvy to some extent to create a good business plan. Do not open your doors without a solid business plan for at least a year ahead of time. You need to have a business plan, marketing plan, and all of that. And, have some money set aside for the months you don't make enough.
So in honor of the show title, the last question for you is, how do you create balance? What does that look like, feel like to you?
We were chatting about this right before recording this answer because we had to take a little break time to feed Aja. And I said, honestly, balance to me, you work so hard. And I know people have a lot to do in their everyday lives. And so to balance it out with time for yourself, especially if you're surrounded by people, if you're part of a big family or a small family, You're always kind of giving your time to work, which is to others, to family, which is to others. I know it feeds you in many ways, but it's good to take that, time away from all of that and just sit with yourself on a mat. I think that creates some balance. And also you don't want to overwork yourself, and I don't think that's healthy. I think there needs to be a balance in everything, but I create a balance in my life. I work hard and I dance at least like once every few weeks. I love going out. I love moving my body. I love listening to live music or electronic music. I love playtime, and I feel it's necessary to play if you want to work hard. And it's necessary to move your body to balance all the other things that you're doing. So yoga is part of my health and wellness. So I go to my mat for that reason, but I definitely suggest everyone needs playtime. If playtime is a walk, if playtime is cooking, if playtime is whatever it means, however it translates to you in your life, or maybe all the above. Definitely make time, set time aside for yourself, exactly like you are required to go to work from 8 to 5 or whatever amount of time during the day. Treat yourself with that much respect and honor, and make time for yourself. Like every week I will take Sunday just for me. If you can't hear Aja, I highly doubt that you're not going to hear him. He's the third person on our podcast today. He's very vocal. And he's so freaking cute. And I'm so happy he's here. He's such a delight. And I love all the sounds. And I think that he's going to be the reason this podcast is going to take off. Honestly, I would just listen to this podcast for all the baby sounds. It's so cute, so adorable.
You only find your voice for the first time, And so Aja is finding his. Maybe one day he'll interview me for the podcast. We'll see.
Aw, that would be so cute.
Well, thank you so much, Danna. Thank you so much for everything you do in your teaching, through yoga church, through your classes. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time in your extremely busy schedule right now. You are tied up in so many beautiful projects and things and work, everything. So thank you for taking the time to be here, to talk to me, to talk to us. I really appreciate you.
Anytime.
And if anyone is interested in following up with you and connecting with you, where can they find you?
On social media, I use social media the most for yoga. I have a yoga page on Instagram, and it's under Yoga Church SD. Yoga Church SD. So you can find me there, and it connects you to my website. If you don't have Instagram, you could go to yogachurchsd.com, and you can find me there and all the things that I'm creating. If you have any questions or need anything, just shoot me a DM and I will get back to you within 24 hours. And thank you, Heather, for taking the time away from your 24-hour job, amongst other things, to do this. It's such a gift that you're giving people, and I hope people appreciate that you took time out of your day-to-day to give to them what they're craving. I think that's beautiful. I hope everyone appreciates this and get something positive out of it, and thank you for doing what you do.